Tonight, we are following a major shift in the story of Hurricane Melissa, a storm that has already gone down in history as one of the most powerful and destructive hurricanes the Caribbean has ever seen. After battering Jamaica with catastrophic damage and then tearing across eastern Cuba, Melissa has finally weakened below major hurricane status. It is now a Category 2 storm with sustained winds of around 105 miles per hour. But make no mistake, this storm is far from finished. Melissa may no longer carry the Category 5 label that shocked meteorologists around the world, but the system is still dangerous, still large, and still capable of producing widespread flooding, destructive winds, power outages, and long-lasting humanitarian challenges across the region. Right now, as of early morning tracking, the center of Melissa sits about 45 miles northwest of Guantanamo, Cuba, pushing north-northeast at around 14 miles per hour. The system is expected to move off Cuban land and back over warm open waters shortly, and then begin its approach toward the Bahamas. For residents in the southeastern and central Bahamas, the warning is clear. Prepare now. Hurricane force conditions are expected today with storm surge between 5 and 8 feet above normally dry ground, widespread coastal flooding, and rainfall totals between 5 and 10 inches. But before we discuss what comes next, we must address the situation in Jamaica, a nation that has just endured one of the most violent weather events in its modern history. This morning, across Jamaica, the sun has risen over a country changed forever. The island is quiet, not because the winds have stopped entirely, but because nearly 3/4 of the population is without power. The familiar sounds of traffic, music, outdoor life, and crossroads gatherings have been replaced by a heavy silence. Roads are blocked, communities are underwater, families are separated by downed power lines and impassable debris. Some neighborhoods, especially in the western and central parishes, have been completely cut off. Prime Minister Andrew Holness declared a nationwide disaster emergency before the hurricane arrived, partly in an effort to prevent price gouging as residents rushed to secure supplies. It was a necessary step. Reports now confirm widespread damage to infrastructure, hospitals, schools, businesses, and homes. The storm hit hardest in places that were already vulnerable: rural communities, coastal fishing towns, and agricultural regions that do not have the same structural protection as areas like Kingston. Even so, Jamaica's capital was not spared entirely. While Kingston escaped the worst of the winds, communication failures, downed lines, and flash flooding have deeply disrupted daily life. Across the country, families woke in the dark, not knowing the condition of their loved ones just a few miles away. In the parish of St. Elizabeth, one of Jamaica's agricultural heartlands, the flooding has been described as total. Government officials confirm that entire districts are underwater. Fields that once produced food for the island have been washed out. Homes have been stripped of roofs and personal belongings. And perhaps most concerning, at least 3 families are currently known to be trapped inside their homes, with rescue crews unable to reach them due to dangerous debris and floodwaters. The only hope for now is that conditions improve enough to allow emergency teams to move in safely. Throughout the night, Jamaicans described the storm in terms usually reserved for cinema, like a scene from an apocalypse. Winds tore through steel roofs as though they were paper. Massive trees were uprooted. Cars were overturned. In coastal areas, storm surge pushed seawater far inland, turning neighborhoods into temporary lakes. One Jamaican resident sheltering in St. Elizabeth described the moment her roof was ripped away. She huddled inside her home with her sons and grandchild as the winds roared above. She described it as the single most terrifying moment of her life. This is the reality of Melissa's legacy in Jamaica, a storm that hit harder and faster than almost anyone has seen. And while the wind strength has now decreased, the storm's rainfall remains a very real danger. Some areas in central Jamaica are now expected to receive over 24 inches of rain before the event is fully over. That is enough to destabilize hillsides, trigger landslides, collapse embankments, and send rivers surging beyond their banks. Even with the eye long gone, the danger is not over. Officials are urging residents to remain sheltered until roads can be cleared and assessments made. And while Jamaica begins the long, painful process of assessing damage and beginning recovery, Cuba is now facing its most dangerous hours. As Melissa's center crossed eastern Cuba, it brought with it hurricane-force winds, a storm surge that could reach 12 feet, and rainfall totals projected between 10 and 20 inches, enough to trigger flash flooding and landslides across mountainous regions. Cuba's president addressed the nation directly, calling on the heroism and resilience of the Cuban people. He warned residents to stay inside, avoid unnecessary travel, and remain calm, a message that echoes across the Caribbean tonight. For Cuba, the greatest concern is not simply wind damage, but prolonged rainfall over terrain already saturated by earlier storms. Mountain communities could face landslides. Rural regions may become isolated, and major cities along the eastern coast, including Santiago de Cuba, could face significant flooding. And from Cuba, Melissa's path turns toward the Bahamas, where preparations are already underway. Shelters are being readied, airports are preparing for closures, fishermen have moved their boats inland, residents have begun securing their homes. But as we have learned from both Jamaica and Cuba, preparation can only go so far when the storm reaches land at full force. This is not just a hurricane, it is a historic weather event, a climate event, a humanitarian crisis in motion. And we will continue covering every stage. But if you are watching this, we need you to take a moment to stay connected to this channel, because updates like these can save lives. Make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Click that notification bell so you receive our breaking updates immediately, not hours later. Every minute counts during storms like this. As recovery efforts begin, the needs will be staggering. Rebuilding infrastructure, restoring power, clearing roads, reconnecting families, supporting emergency medical services, and in some rural areas, restoring access to clean water and food storage will be critical. There will be stories of loss in the coming days, that is inevitable, but there will also be stories of courage, solidarity, and resilience, from neighbors carrying neighbors, families sharing food, rescue crews risking their lives, and communities rebuilding together. Jamaica has endured what may be the strongest storm in its modern history. Cuba is now facing its own moment of trial, and the Bahamas are next in line. We will be here, reporting, updating, and providing global awareness to help these communities recover. If you are watching from the Caribbean, our hearts are with you tonight. If you are watching from anywhere else, help us amplify this message. Awareness matters, information matters, and in the days ahead, support will matter most of all. Stay informed, stay safe, and please take 1 second now, subscribe to the channel so we can continue to bring you critical coverage when it matters the most. We'll be back with the latest updates. Thank you for watching.